Sorry? Dude, I ain't got time to explain, and I'm going to have to mute again. So once I'm okay, but you're starting right now, though? So start me, and I'll say hello, and then give me about 5 minutes. Just like talk, like 3 minutes maybe, just so I can get them out.
Good evening, everyone. This is Morbid. This is the Pulpit of Doom podcast, the official podcast for DreaminDemon.com. And here with me tonight is Pagan.
Hello, everybody.
Who has to go for a little bit. And Jaded's running a little late, if she makes it at all. She had an emergency pop up right before we went on. So it's going to be one of those types of podcasts. So Pagan, if you got to go ahead and go. I'll bullshit here for a little bit, and I'll see you back.
All right, sounds good. I'll be back in a flash.
All right, I'll hear you when you come back on.
All
right. For anybody who's new, who hasn't heard of us before or turned into one of our podcasts before, we've been around for a while. We're DreaminDemon.com, where normally we just report on horrible, terrible news going on in the world today. And then we joke about it. That's pretty much it. Not usually at the victim's expense, but we do have a very twisted, dark sense of humor. And we've been podcasting for a number of years, over a decade now, off and on, very spotty, switching between one service or the next. And now we are on YouTube, mainly because we got sick of using Skype and figured we'd use the Discord to help bring in co-hosts and call-ins and whatnot. So that's pretty much it. I am flying a little bit solo today. Jaded normally joins me on these. Pagan's new, not new to the site, but new to the podcast. But Jaded had an emergency pop up at the last minute, and she picked a great fucking time to do that because I was drinking. I thought this was going to be kind of a drinking podcast, so I started a little while back, and so I'm just a little lit. And so this should be interesting to see if I can figure out these controls in this particular state. I was hoping she was going to be on because I had wanted to talk about a couple games and some movies, but maybe we'll save that for later and see if she comes on. Normally during the podcast, we haven't really nailed down a format at this junction, but what we do always end up doing is talking about the top 10 horrible stories that were featured throughout the week on the site. Man, I can already feel myself getting ready to start slurring. And for anybody, I went to the liquor store today. I had found a very cheap whiskey. It is cheap. It's like $17 or something, and it's called what the fuck is the name of it? Old Camp is the name of it, and it's some butter pecan whiskey. And the only reason why I found it is because somebody had it at their house for a year. Somebody had brought it over to their house for a party or something. And he asked me if I wanted it. And I said, sure. I'm not a very big drinker. We keep alcohol in the house, but I'm not like an everyday drinker or anything. I mostly during the summertime. And during the winter, I don't usually mess with it too much. Anyway, went to a graduation party a couple weekends ago. And took that year-old whiskey over to the party to kind of dump it, and ended up actually drinking it all. It was very good. So, well, to me it was at least. And so today I figured, well, you know what, man, this will be our third YouTube podcast. I think we kind of got the hang of things. I'm sure we'll fuck up here and there. We haven't tried call-ins yet, which you're more than welcome to do. And if anybody wants to call in, the way that works is if you go to our Discord server, which if I could be bothered right here at the moment, I'd post a link, but you can find it You can find it. It's on our forums on the right hand sidebar, and I'm not really too concerned if we get any or not. But if you do ever, and we'll get better instructions on this, but if you join our Discord server, we have a channel there, a voice channel called Green Room, and if you just join it, we'll know that you're wanting to talk about something or ask a question or whatever, and we'll handle it from there. We'll unmute you and let you know that you're on and all that. So if anybody wants to do that tonight as a test, by all means, this is a perfect night. And like I said at the beginning, this is only our third YouTube podcast, so we're still trying to test some things out. It's not too different from what we were used to doing, but there are some differences. One big one being the fact that you can actually see something now on the screen, which we're goofing with here and there as we go. Anyway, point being is, when I went to the liquor store today to go get some more of that old camp, I looked for some other stuff to see some more high-priced stuff. Not that it really mattered too much. I was just curious, was there anybody else doing old camp pecan, peach-flavored whiskeys or whatever? And I didn't see anything that was too appealing. So when I went up to the counter, the lady was like, "You like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, it's all right. You know, for free, it was pretty good." She said, "I got something that you'll really like. Because everybody's coming in here and buying this. We can barely keep it on the shelves." Now, she's probably upselling me, but whatever. I was going to hear her out. And she took me to this aisle where they had these bottles of this shit called Old Smoky Tennessee Salted Caramel Whiskey. And some of you may have already tried this before. I don't know if you have or haven't, but I'm going to tell you this. Are you back on? It's good as shit. It tastes like... Yo, goddamn.
Yo,
hold on a minute. He blew my right eardrum out. There you go. Well, it's a good timing anyway, because I was going to tell you something, too. I planned on telling you this at the beginning, but I was telling everybody else. But if you want a good whiskey to drink just on ice, and granted it's flavored, so that might be a cardinal sin for some, but there's this stuff you can get at the ABC store, dude, called Old Smoky Tennessee Salted Caramel Whiskey. And I don't know if you've ever had those butter shot things from Schnapps. What are you doing? Are you cleaning your toilet?
no.
No. Anyway.
Not again.
Old Smoky Tennessee Salted Caramel Whiskey, dude. You have to try this shit, man. Just pour it in a glass, throw some ice on it, and I'm telling you, you'll drink the whole damn bottle.
Yeah. You build it up, so better be good.
Well, I'm halfway through this one before we started, and right before we started, Jaded had messaged me and said, "Oh shit, I'm so sorry. I've got an emergency. I might be able to make it on time. I might be late." And I was like, "It's all good. You know, I'll see you when you come on." And then your ass shows up a minute before. And I know you got a story behind that we'll talk about later. But I was sitting there going...
I've got a lot going on, you know?
I was going, man, you know, of course, everything was ironed out, hashed out, and I'm flying solo, and I got a buzz at the same time. So this was going to be very interesting.
And you handled it like the veteran that you are.
I'm too drunk to give a shit really at the moment. I'm really curious to see where I'm going to be by the time I finish this last glass. I can't finish anymore because I was supposed to take some. We got a Memorial Day thing going on tomorrow that I was supposed to take this to, and I've already finished half of it. And the fucking, I wasn't even thinking that the liquor store would be closed tomorrow because where we're at. So I can't replace it. So I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. But anyway, let me see here. If we want to get started, I don't know if you actually brushed up on any of the stories. It might be good if you didn't, because that way at least I have somebody to bounce some of these things off of. So have you even looked at the site this week? Do you know some of the stuff that we featured?
Earlier this week I did. The latter part, no.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So what I'm going to do is, normally we go through the top 10, but this week, I think I might just skip some and just pick the more important ones, because we did have some shoot up to the top pretty damn quick. A couple of them I put in late in the week, and they're already at the top. So, the number 10 story, I'm not even going to go into it. It was a vice principal in Missouri that was fucking a 16-year-old student of hers that she's known since he was in the 6th grade. And we do so many of these stories, I quit actually writing teacher fucking student stories, because we do so many of them. You can almost just do a template and then just replace the names. It's just the same old story. It's usually a married mother of X who, for whatever reason, decides to start fucking one of her students. And this was no different. The only reason why I even did this one is because she wasn't a teacher. She was actually vice principal of the school. So I thought that added a little bit of a extra oomph to the story. But that was number 10. I'm not even going into it or putting a picture up or anything. Hold on a second.
That's good. I think you summed it up all in one shot.
There's not much to say except for why. The only thing that always is kind of curious to me with these particular types of stories is, you know, my moral compass wavers. So I don't have like this steady moral compass where I would sit there and pass judgment on anybody for anything they do, including this chick. I could care less if she was married or had a kid and she decided to fuck some 16-year-old student. I really don't care. The only thing that really puzzles me with stories like this is everything that they give up. You know what I mean? I get the whole the whole being naughty thing and the thrill of doing something that you really shouldn't be doing, and I get all that, but she's a vice principal of a school and she's married. I don't know if she has kids, but at 39 years old, I'm guessing the chances are probably pretty high she has at least one. But just to throw all that away, that's the part I don't get. There's like a reward consequence things with everything that I do, whether it be legal or not. I like to weigh the consequences. Back when we were younger, of course, that scale was heavily tilted to the idiotic side, where you would do things without caring too much about the consequences. And by the grace of whoever, we made it through. That's why whenever my children do anything, my chills, when they do something stupid, I get it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I excuse it, but I get it. They're not thinking too far past 5 minutes. But as a 39-year-old female, it's like with a 39-year-old female who has obviously, you know, traversed the academics to get to this particular professional career of a vice principal, although I have no idea what that, you know, what that means, what they actually have to go through. But regardless, she has a professional career. And to throw it out the window to fuck a kid is just crazy to me. And he's the one that told on her. So, anyway.
Yeah, she put it all on the line, and
she gambled and she lost.
Right.
That's a hell of a hand to lose, though. But
you know, there's a lot of them. She's not the first and not the last.
No, we get them a lot. We get them. We post these stories too much, actually, to the point that, like I said, I got really bored with even writing the stories up anymore. All right, so anyway, so that was number 10. Number 9 was kind of a big deal. This was a case, and I cannot remember if I actually wrote anything up on it when it happened. The forums may have had posted something about this back when it happened, but this was out of Kansas, Wichita, Kansas, where 5-year-old Lucas Hernandez, he went missing. And even at the time, everybody had kind of been pointing the fingers at the mother. Her name is Emily Glass. And everybody had been kind of pointing the finger at her because of the history of the family with Child Protective Services. There had been multiple calls made on this family regarding that they thought that this boy was being abused. And some of these calls were being made by family members themselves. Emily Glass was actually Lucas's stepmother, which we see a lot of on the site when it comes to child abuse or child murders. And usually it's the stepfather, but this time it was a stepmother, which we've had some very infamous cases regarding stepmothers. One actually in North Carolina was a big deal a few years back, but nothing ever came of it. They never, I guess, could find any proof that she had actually done anything to cause his disappearance. She had said she fell asleep for a few hours, and when she woke up, he was gone, and that was pretty much the story. Everybody searching for this little boy in the hopes that something would happen to where they could charge her for what a lot of people had already figured was the culprit. And that actually that finally happened. I guess we don't know the details behind why she did it, but she actually took a private investigator out to an area, kind of a rural-ish area where there was a bridge with no houses or anything nearby it, and that's where police met her and the private investigator, did a little searching, and found the remains of Lucas Hernandez. Now, I've got a video for that, so hold on one second here, and I'm going to play this real quick. We'll see how this works.
Continue to follow the developing story of a body found in Harvey County. Take a look at this map. We'll see here. That's the one big thing I got to really figure out with this. Some of these videos, I probably should already have them cranked up, before I actually start introducing them. But anyway, I'm a little tipsy. But here we go. Here's the news report on when the body was found. Well, if I can get it to fucking play. There we go. The yellow circle you see right here is where the body was found, up and underneath that bridge in the 9700 block of South Woodlawn. Rachel Scott. God damn, look at her necklace. Rachel, not hers, but the other chicks.
Well, there is still a large police presence out here tonight, but it has gone down dramatically in just the past couple hours. Earlier, this entire rural road that we're on right now, 96th, was lined with police vehicles all the way down to that bridge where they say this body was found. And we're going to zoom in so you can see what's left of the scene here tonight. It looks like the crime scene investigators down there have put up a larger light to allow them to see, as it's pitch black out here right now. And again, we are in such a rural area. There's no light from any other streets or houses where we are right now. There are still several police vehicles that we can see down there. Again, that bridge where the body was found is down towards that area.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Are you hearing that okay?
Yes.
And it doesn't sound weird, not doubling or anything?
Maybe a little.
So it is doubling a little bit.
Yeah.
God damn it. All right. I think that's a setting that I've got set on here that may be wrong. So hold on one second. We'll see if this fixes it, and then I'll have to adjust that later.
Area where you can still see the lights. We were told by Wichita Police that they're not going to give us any more information out here on scene tonight, but they will give us more information tomorrow. We don't know exactly what type of information that will be. We don't know if they're going to be able to identify the body at that time, but we do expect to get an update from them as early as tomorrow morning. Jacob Albrecht has also been out here all night on scene. I'm gonna toss over to him now. Jacob, what are you seeing where you are?
Rachel, it's a very emotional scene over here. The search group, the family is on this side of the scene, and I'm going to step out of the way and let you know what's happening here. This is, again, very emotional, so we want to let people know. We've got a chaplain here, and coming up, we're told in one of these vehicles, in this van, is the body. And again, that body has not been identified, but we're told the family and supporters are going to be allowed to say a prayer here. That is what you're seeing right now. There is a chaplain on scene. These supporters are still out here. There is some family.
I'm gonna skip ahead just a bit on this. I guess this was just live footage from the actual scene, because I want to talk about why a lot of people say that this could have been prevented. And since you may have not heard of this story yet, I'm assuming you don't know anything about this, correct?
Correct.
All right, cool. Because wait, I'm gonna tell you something here in a second. I'm gonna try to bump this up a little bit.
These roller coaster they've been on today, but that moment right there is found today. It's very, very emotional. No way to capture that or put it into words what these folks out here are going through right now, but they've had the chaplain, so we'll send it back to you guys.
Kind of
all right. Not only those supporters, we've seen so much of this community come out in this search for Lucas. People who had no idea who Lucas Hernandez was before.
You saw some of them there tonight. I know a lot of searchers were there as they were waiting for this news to come in, and we also saw Angela Monroe earlier at a vigil at Lucas's old home there on Edgemore here in Wichita, and it's
It's hard to express what we just saw there because we're both parents and we saw Lucas's biological mother there crying, and it's upsetting to see this, but I know it, like a lot of them said, it gave them a little peace of mind.
The phrase he goes by in his work is "everyone is meant to be found." Today he says he did just that with Lucas Hernandez. In this video from 48 Hours, David Marshberg talked about his first case, Fort Bragg soldier Kelly Bordeaux, who was missing for...
I'm going to skip the rest of that. Basically, I guess this private investigator here, the gentleman that you're seeing here, is kind of, that's his thing. Cold case missing people, missing persons type cases. Anyway, what I wanted to say about this was the fact that all the calls that came in on this family, you aren't going to believe this. Here we go. All right. And I'm reading this from my article, which is always weird reading my own writing, but here we go. In May 2017, okay, the boy went missing in February, if I'm not mistaken. He went missing in February of, maybe it was December, January. I can't remember. Hold on one second here. February of this year. So he's been missing since February of this year, and his body was just found. So here's the history with this particular family. And now, if I'm not mistaken, in some recent articles that I had looked at, the DCF, the Child Protective Services or whatever, said that they did nothing wrong. They followed all protocols. And you tell me what you think. In May 2000, all right, here it is. In May 2017, the Kansas. Well, good. Shut up. In May 2017. Sorry, that was funny as hell. All right, here we go.
Let her rip.
I got to run through this, dude. I'm telling you, you do not know just how fuckered up I am at the moment. All right.
Okay.
Here we go. In May of 2017, the Kansas Department of Children and Families received a report that Hernandez had bruising in the shape of a hand on his left arm and bruises on his cheek and bottom. Although the boy said Glass was responsible, the state agency determined there was not enough evidence to support the allegation and closed the case. That was May 2017. Then in November 2017, while Glass, his stepmother, and Lucas, damn it, I switched the first and last names in this article. Anyway, in November 2017, while Glass and Lucas were visiting the boy's father in New Mexico, the state's Child Protection Services Agency received a report that Hernandez had two black eyes. The Kansas DCF contacted the New Mexico agency, which provided its report saying it had determined the allegations were unfounded. So there's two calls the cases were closed because of lack of any evidence that the adults had actually been the one who had injured the boy, right?
Okay, there's two.
Right? Well, we got a third one. In December of 2017, only a few months before he disappeared, someone reported that Hernandez had bruises on his arm and a large bruise on his forehead. Hernandez said that Glass, his stepmom, became angry and threw a water bottle at his face. Now, here's the sad part. Right, here's the sad part. DCF would not receive that particular report until 2 days after the boy disappeared. So, the way I see this is that report came in December. DCF didn't get the report until February. So either they are really lacking help, which is probably the case, and they're probably inundated with cases. That would be my guess. But now you have a general idea, at least in Kansas City, how long it takes for a call to DCF to actually be investigated. A couple months.
Yeah, I guess so.
DCF would not receive that report until 2 days after the boy disappeared. The next day, a social worker interviewed a school nurse at Beach Elementary School where Hernandez attended. She said the boy arrived at school one day in January with multiple cuts and bruises. Glass claimed his stepmother had told them that he had fell off some monkey bars, but the nurse said, quote, it looked like he had been in a fight. More ominously,
The boy reported feeling ill at school at least twice in the days before he went missing, including the last day he attended school.
So funny. I was thinking monkey bars about 2 minutes ago. And then now they confirmed it.
Right. Well, so obviously, Jesus Christ. So obviously, people have been questioning the Kansas City DCF on why they didn't step in sooner, that they could possibly have saved this kid. Emily Glass has a history, supposedly, of drug abuse and taking out her anger at the boy's father on the boy. That supposedly was a history, and that's why a lot of the family and people were pointing at her since February that she was the person responsible for Hernandez's disappearance. Now, of course, she may have already. I haven't looked. At the time that I wrote this, she had not been charged with anything aside from some type of impending police investigation or whatnot. So my guess is, as everybody else's is, she did something that day to kill that boy and hit him under that bridge. And I'm sure there's charges, if they haven't already been filed, which I didn't check yet, will be filed as soon as if they can, figure out a cause of death. That boy's been sitting out there under that bridge since February. So there's a good chance, maybe possibly, that any actual cause of death may not even be possible. No, I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, you got a major decomposing there.
Just a lot of everything, and I guess being exposed to the elements and all that stuff. Because we got another case coming up that was just like this. Now, here's one that's a little bit. That was our ninth story. Our eighth story, the most popular for the week, was that poor schmuck out of Bessemer City, North Carolina. And I actually know somebody who is very close to this particular case and who knew the victim. So one of these days, maybe even tomorrow, I may get some extra info on this that we can talk about next week. But this is the story, and it's actually a very sad one, actually, if you think about it, because it could happen to any of us. And that brings up a whole different discussion. But this is the ex-cop out of Bessemer City. It's a 62-year-old named Roger Self who has been suffering from mental illness for the last 6 months or so. Telltale signs. I mean, aside from telling people he was suffering from mental illness, he was looking for help. And supposedly he was on medication for it and had even begged his son. In one of the reports, it said he had begged his son to please take his guns away. But I guess what happened is his family, and trying to cheer him up, because supposedly he wasn't coming out of his room or out of the house for long periods of time. This guy was supposedly like a pillar of the community and church-going, God-fearing type guy. And his family tried to cheer him up. And I don't know what day this happened on. Sunday. On Sunday, his family decided to try to cheer him up. So a bunch of them got together and took him out to a restaurant, the Surf and Turf Lodge in Bessemer City. And they took him out to a restaurant to go get something to eat and to be around his friends and family members, and which they did. And once they were seated and had ordered appetizers, he excused himself, and they thought that he was just going to the restroom. But what he actually did was went out to the parking lot, got into his SUV, and then purposely plowed into the restaurant aiming for their table. And he ended up killing his own daughter and daughter-in-law, the wife of his son, who is a cop. So he was arrested, and he has been placed in jail. And the last I heard, that he was moved to a Raleigh detention facility for his own protection. But I have some stuff on him. Hold on one second here. Let me see if I can actually pull this
up.
That
has to be a real interesting situation on that home front.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ, dude. I mean, the whole story.
The daughter and the daughter-in-law.
Yes. Yeah, basically his son, and Anyway, I'm gonna see if I can play this video here real quick.
Was she married to the daughter?
I can't remember. I think she was. So hold on here, and I'll play this.
In a restaurant rampage that some are calling insane and evil. A Gaston County father accused of driving his car into a busy restaurant Sunday, killing his daughter and daughter-in-law.
His daughter, Caitlin Self, was a 4-year veteran of the Gaston County Sheriff's Office. His daughter-in-law, Amanda Self, worked as an ER nurse at Caramount Regional. His wife, son, and 13-year-old granddaughter still in critical condition tonight.
The suspect, 62-year-old Roger Self. Self made his first appearance in court today. He faces 2 first-degree murder charges for the crash. Tonight, a motive still unclear, but his pastor says he was suffering from severe depression.
NBC Charlotte's Brandon Goldner is live at 6. And Brandon, this has really shaken the entire community.
Absolutely, Sarah and Fred, not just because Roger Self was a prominent businessman and just the overall tragedy of this, but Caitlin Self being a sheriff's deputy, the law enforcement community also affected. It's why the pastor, Austin Rammel, is speaking out for the family.
249 County Holding Channel, we got multiple injuries trapped in the building.
Less than 24 hours after Bessemer City police say Roger Self plowed through the crowded surf and turf lodge, the family's pastor, Austin Rammel, says the chaos.
Wanted to pause that for a second to say he didn't just plow through that restaurant. What he actually did was supposedly aim straight for the table where his family was sitting and went through that and almost went out the back wall. That's how fast this guy was going. Anyway, I just wanted to state that.
So he had a good head start.
Yeah, he had some speed going. Hold on. Here we go. I'm going to finish this.
Self-caused Sunday was not the man he knows.
Roger deeply loved. He deeply loved his family. He deeply loved the daughter he killed. He deeply loved the daughter-in-law he killed.
Pastor Rammel says about 2 months ago, doctors diagnosed Roger Self with depression and anxiety, for which he was taking medication. Self had been a Gastonia police officer from 1975 through 1979, before working for the Belk department store and its loss prevention division. He then became a private investigator for several decades. The pastor says Self had asked for help from dozens of family and friends over the past 2 months, so his daughter, Gaston County Deputy Caitlin Self, decided to get everyone together for lunch.
They were all there to eat and have a great time after church. And Roger got up. Some of them thought he's probably just going to leave and come back.
When he did come back, Bessemer City police say he slammed through the crowded dining room, killing his daughter, Deputy Caitlin Self, and his daughter-in-law, ER nurse Amanda Self. His wife, Diane Self, and his son, Gaston County Police Officer Josh Self, remain in the hospital in critical condition. As for Roger Self, he remains in the Gaston County Jail, facing 2 counts of first-degree murder. In a courtroom filled with dozens of family and friends, he barely spoke, except to ask for a court-appointed attorney.
And the Gaston County District Attorney says Self's case will be likely going before a grand jury in the coming weeks. We're also expecting a possible vigil later this week, but no formal plans have been announced just yet. Reporting live in Gastonia, I'm Brandon Goldner, NBC Charlotte.
Brandon, thank you.
On air and...
So anyway, that's the gist of that particular story, and the reason why that one is very concerning to me, and I actually had a discussion about this with a buddy of mine, was the fact that how do you even punish something like this? Because it brings up that whole question of mental illness, something that can strike any one of us. It may already be affecting anybody listening to this, and definitely could hit you in the future. And as we all know, at least in the United States, mental illness is not something that is where treatment is readily available for people. So I don't know exactly what you do with this guy. We've had, multiple stories where people have suffered from some type of mental illness and have performed some type of heinous act. And I am still, over the years, 14 of them now, of writing these stories up, my viewpoint on it has changed dramatically from when it started, mostly just from the information you end up gathering, whether you like it or not, when you're researching stories like this and the different points of views and statistics you find. And I just don't know how you punish somebody like this. The person, Roger Self, who ran through that restaurant with his car and killed his wife and his daughter-in-law and critically injured his other family members, is not the same guy who would have died for them 6 months ago. So
he'll have to be evaluated.
Well, of course. I mean, of course
they
do that.
And that's going to be, he's not going to go to a jail. He's going to go to a mental institution.
Maybe. That all depends on if the court system finds him competent enough to stand trial. Now,
/ jail.
Well, I guess my point being is still, you know, what is an adequate punishment to where somebody who does something like this, you know, not only gets punished for what they did, so that the public at least feels like they got some retribution for this act they committed, but to also, in other words, I guess what I'm saying is, if you stuck this guy as he is today, as he was in that parking lot, and you threw his ass in jail, so he pays for killing those two people he loved dearly, where's the justice in that, I guess? And I don't know. I guess I've turned into such a fucking whiny ass when it comes to mental illness related issues like this, that it's like, who are you actually punishing? The guy that has been a pillar of the community for 62 years, or the guy in the last 6 months? And if you do want to punish the guy that did this because of any mental illness he's been suffering for the last 6 months, how is throwing him in jail actually? And maybe that is the answer. I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm gonna make that clear. I'm just saying it's just a very gray area to me when you start talking about mental illness.
Right. Yeah. So with that, they're going to have to just, hey, what else can we do? We can't let him go. We got to keep him. That's it. You know, if he would have died in it, then that would have been the end of it.
Well, right. Well,
but he lived.
Yes, he did. So I guess what I'm saying is, to me personally, in cases like this, and we've had too many that I can't even recall them on 15 pairs of hands. How many stories I've written that were the direct result of some type of mental illness. To me, for example, like the women that suffer from some type of postpartum depression and end up drowning their kids in a bathtub or whatever, because they feel like they're saving their kids from the devil or whatever, or Jesus told them to do it, or whatever the reason why they do it.
A lot of times, I think it's just excuses.
But that's that's the problem. What a lot of people don't seem to realize is this this plea insanity. The odds of that actually working are slim to none. That's a fallacy that people think that when someone pleads insanity that they're automatically gotten off of the crime and thrown into some institution where they eat crackers and listen to music all day. That rarely ever happens, ever. So I guess my point being is if you want to punish somebody, let's just take you for example, dude. Let's just say that you end up like this fucking guy, right? And with no power and with no control that you have anything to do with, your brain decides to switch something off because you were just biologically predestined for that to happen. And you, honest to God, believe that Jesus Christ himself is telling you that you have to kill your kid to save him, right? And your brain has you 150% convinced that if you do not do this, your son is deemed to burn in hell for all eternity, right? So you, because your brain's all fucked up, nothing to do with you, nothing you did, you just got a shit hand in life, and your brain, which could happen to you, dude. It could happen to me. And just like it happened to this fucking guy at 62 years old. So one night you go in and you strangle the fuck out of your kid because you love him so much that you do not want him to burn in hell, and Jesus Christ himself is whispering in your ear, squeeze tighter, or whatever, right? So before you know it, you killed your fucking kid, you call the cops on yourself, you explain to them, which has happened. It's actually our intro. We have an intro that we haven't used yet, which is a very famous case where a woman drowned her 2 kids in the bathtub and called the cops on herself to explain very calmly that she just drowned her 2 children. And as far as you're concerned, the 911 operator may not understand it. The general public may not understand it. The lawyers may not understand it. The judge may not understand it. The police may not understand it. But you had fucking Jesus Christ in your ear telling you to do this to save your son, right? So now you've killed your kid. You've strangled him in his bed as he was sleeping. And you've committed murder. 1st degree. You planned this shit. You was going to do it that night. You get 1st degree murder and you're sent to jail, right? You're sent to jail for life, the death penalty, whatever the fuck you're sentenced for, right? So what?
Right.
Who gives a fuck? You did the right thing. You will go into that electric chair knowing that your son is saved. You saved his life by killing him, right? So my thought was always, well, it changed over the years, but my thought was, if you wanted to make sure that that Pagan suffered and was penalized for strangling his kid in his sleep, the best thing you could ever do is to cure him. Because imagine you right now, the way you are, I guess pretty much sane in a general, whatever that means, but not to the point to where you want to go kill your kid to save him. So let's just say that you're sane and you go nuts for whatever reason, you strangle the fuck out of your kid, kill him, and you're sentenced. Do you actually think it would be better to send you to jail to where you will go to your death knowing that you did the right thing by strangling your innocent kid to save him because some magical being told you to do it? Or do you think a better punishment would be to cure you so that you return back to who you are today? Can you imagine the goddamn grief, shock, and horror that a human being would go through if you cleared the cobwebs and you showed them what they had actually done? To me, that would be, if that's what you're out for, I'm saying, if you're out for punishing somebody for doing something like that because of a mental illness, cure them. Cure them.
Yeah, with electric shock therapy, that's what does it.
Yeah, whatever the fuck you want to use.
Not the high voltage, not the high voltage.
Well, whatever you want to use.
Low voltage.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. I always thought that if you're out for some type of vengeful justice on the part of the kid that was killed, cure the fucker. Cure him. Because to me, that would be the absolute worst punishment I can imagine myself going through. That if I suffered through some type of mental illness where my brain fucking betrayed me and tricked me into killing my own kid to save them. If you want to punish me for doing that, cure me. That would be the worst punishment. You wouldn't even have to send me to jail. I'd probably hang myself once I was cured, realizing what I had done. But, so if you want me to actually, not suffer for what I did, just send me to jail. Just send me to jail. Don't get me any help. Don't do anything. Just send me to jail. I'll die knowing I did the right thing because Jesus or whoever told me to do it. So anyway, point being is we had a nice long discussion on this one particular case today, me and a buddy of mine, on how exactly do you treat shit like this. And of course, I don't have any answers. I'm just spitballing shit that I was thinking about it at the time, that if I was this guy, which I could be, any one of you listening could be at some point. That's the fucking thing about mental illness. It's like cancer. You don't fucking know. I mean, that's what they say, right? After the age of 40, you're only waiting on 2 things to kill you. I mean, not counting an accident, unforeseen circumstance, but you're looking at fucking... Well, 2 things. If you live past the age of 40, you're looking at either cancer or heart disease. That's it. Those are the 2 things that are going to kill you.
Okay.
One of them. Or some shit like this. Anyway.
Congested?
Just mental illness in general. It's just a shame how we treat it in the United States. We're not taught about it as kids. We're not trained about it. It's still kind of a taboo type of deal. I think that there's a lot of things that aren't taught in school. Maybe they are nowadays. I know my kid wasn't. Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, mental illness is like, you know, it has a lot of different forms than what it was when we were kids. There's different names for everything. You know, when we were kids, there was one group. I'm not going to say it, but there was one group, and that was it.
Well, I guess I guess you're just making my entire point that I think that if kids are taught a lot of different things in their childhood that they're not taught, and I know I wasn't. Things may be different. I know they weren't with my kid. They weren't taught things about like credit, how credit works. They're not taught anything like that when they're kids, and I think there's a reason why they don't. I could get all into my conspiracy theories behind all that, but they're not taught.
What about Crazy Man?
But that's getting to my point. That's getting to my point.
He was a crazy man. Everybody thought he was crazy, but nobody did nothing.
Every older person had the crazy guy in the fucking neighborhood. Ours was fucking originally named Crazy Man. And he, more than likely, looking at it from an adult perspective, suffered from some type of bipolar stuff. So I guess my point being is goddamn, I'm saying point thing like 50 fucking times. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, if kids are taught about mental illness at a younger age and the way it can manifest itself, not only can you educate people in regards to mental illness in general, but kids who live with mentally ill parents may be able to better understand the situation that they're in. But I
think it's early diagnosis. Early.
But again, that goes right into what I'm saying is that because it's swept under the rug and it's hidden and it's shameful, people don't go get help when early onset anything happens. I think that's part of the big problem. And even worse, even if they were to go out and try to get help for any type of early onset, where? Who's paying? Where are they going to go? There's nothing. There is nothing out there in the United States for somebody suffering from some type of mental illness. And I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong about this, but if you know somebody, your own kid, if your kid is 18, 19 years old and clearly demonstrating some mental illness, schizophrenia, whatever the fuck you want to name, you can't voluntarily commit them. There's nothing you can do. It's like my old man said.
Something happens, I guess, right?
Well, and then once they're in that system, they're chewed up and spit out. It's over. It's like my old man always says, crazy people don't know they're fucking crazy. People who suffer from Alzheimer's don't know that. That's the problem. That's the whole entire problem with especially when it comes to mental illness. If you're going to wait for a mentally ill person to sit back and say, "Hey, I'm fucking crazy. I need to go get help," even if you do get people like that, like this fucking guy that we just talked about.
Right, you're talking about snap. They snap.
Well, that's what I'm saying is this guy was looking.
It's been there the whole time.
Well, I don't know if this guy's been there the whole time. They supposedly.
Well, it's been there for a while.
6 months. 6 months ain't shit. You know, it was only 6 fucking months that this guy demonstrated any type of signs. That's how quick he went from being a pillar of the community to running down his fucking daughter. That's fucking scary as shit to me, especially now that I'm older, to where you're starting to reach those ages where this is the type of shit we get to look forward to. If it ain't cancer and fucking heart disease you gotta look out for, now you gotta look out for your brain doing some stupid shit like this.
Right, short circuit.
Anyway, I find this whole mental illness thing very fascinating, especially over the decade or so that we've been writing these stories. It really has changed my perspective, I guess, on not only some of the cases we write about where I feel a little sympathy towards some of these people, where more people want to sharpen the pitchforks and light the torches to go storm the fucking castle and string them up by their fucking short hairs. I get the outrage because some of the things they do are fucking just absolutely heinous. They're obscene, some of the things they do. But I can't help feel just a little bit sorry for some of these fucking people that this isn't them. This isn't them. This is what their brain has tricked them into doing. I don't know, man. Like I said, I could talk all fucking day about the whole mental illness thing, but we got to move on. In fact, I'm going to skip some of these.
That is true.
I'll skip on some of these. We got Fort Worth, Texas, where a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old blew a woman's brains out because they saw that she had a console in her apartment, and when they kicked in the door to rob it, they took her iPhone, and this woman went to protect her 3-year-old who was sleeping in another room and wouldn't let him in, and one of the teens shot her in the back of the head and killed her. So there you go.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah.
Because they saw what? Because they saw what inside?
They picked her apartment because when they were walking by, they looked in the window and saw she had a gaming console.
Oh, a gaming console. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I should have specified.
That's all it took, huh?
That's it. So they kicked in her door. They told her to give her her phone, an iPhone of some type, which they did. God damn it. And when she tried to protect her kid and wouldn't let him in a room where her kid was sleeping, one of the teens fatally shot her in the back of the head.
Such a petty crime. It really puts a little more meaning into the somebody shoots you for $20.
Oh, it's even worse. They threw the phone away because they couldn't unlock it. So they basically they actually killed this woman for nothing. They gained nothing. Zero. Here's a big one.
Hopefully they'll catch it.
I just posted this one last night, and it's already made it halfway up the list. This was the man also out of Wichita, Kansas. Go Kansas. He's...
Yeah, Kansas is on fire.
Well, they are with this guy. He is a 55-year-old man named Justin McClellan. His girlfriend walked in while he was in the process of raping a 5-month-old pit bull in the asshole.
Wow. Or
Right?
did I say bow wow?
Well, hold on. I think I have a video on this one, too. Yep, here we go. Hold on one second here. Let's see if I can get this going.
Police say this puppy was sexually abused by a Wichita.
Yeah, hold on.
Poor Scrappy.
Because it's got a nice picture of the dog.
Police say this puppy was sexually abused by a Wichita man who's now in jail. The 55-year-old man was arrested this afternoon for animal cruelty and other charges. The puppy is getting treatment at the emergency vet. Rachel Skida is live there now with what we know about this case. Rachel.
I hear Darth
This
Vader.
all started on Tuesday when a woman came home and says she found her boyfriend having sex with her dog. I'm told that the 5-month-old puppy was in bad shape when he arrived here at the emergency vet. He has improved, but still has a long way to go. Well, the puppy's name is Frazier, and he's now in the care of Beauties and Beasts Rescue, but they told me they don't know how long they'll have to keep him here at the vet. Wichita police investigated this case as a sex crime. The lieutenant in that department told me he's never seen a case like this and called it very rare. Randy Carter with Beauties and Beasts says this is the first time she's seen a case like this as well. She says Frazier has a long way to go, but she's confident he can overcome this trauma.
He's so sweet. I touch him and I hold him, and he just throws his head in my hands, and you would never think that at this point that he'd been through something like that because he's so sweet to people.
Again, we don't know how long the puppy is going to have to stay here at the emergency vet. Police say they're not releasing the name of the man who they arrested for the abuse at this time.
Well, his name was Justin McClellan.
Okay. Question.
Yeah.
The puppy was a boy puppy?
But yes.
Because the lady kept referring to it as he.
Yes, it was a he.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yes. gay puppy rape.
Wow.
This guy, Justin McClellan, hasn't even been out of, at least maybe possible probation. It looks like he has a past charges of, what is it? He has prior convictions of aggravated assault and child endangerment that occurred in 2016. No details on that particular case. But so in other words, this isn't the guy's first rodeo. So when his girlfriend walked in on him fucking this dog, he actually, that's where the assault charge comes from. He battered her in some form or fashion when he got caught, which, you know, I don't know what the logical response to that, to have your girlfriend walk in with your cock in the dog's ass.
This isn't what it looks like.
Right, this is nothing what it looks like.
Yeah. We're just playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Yeah, there's no getting out of it, you know.
No, I guess that's about your
know.
only last resort is to start beating the person that caught you doing it.
Right. He was hoping probably to beat her to death.
Well, he didn't. He got caught. So I'm sure he's very popular right now. I would imagine, as I stated in the article, I know that inmates aren't very fond of child fuckers either. I would imagine they're probably not too fond of people like this guy as well. That would be
right.
That would be my guess.
And the dog was a pit bull?
It was a pit bull, but it was just a puppy, man. And I
So
know
it
you
was a
get
puppy boy pit bull.
correct. I know you can't see the video, but when you go back and look at it, he's pretty adorable. To be a monster,
For
that
sure.
will end up killing somebody in the future.
I'm around them quite frequently, and I see no issues at this point.
They never do until it's latched onto your kid's face.
Well,
I'm not a big fan of.
that's any dog. You know, Chico, he could go berserk too.
Yeah, any dogs can, but unfortunately for the pit bull, they are the leading cause of human deaths when it comes to dogs. You can love them all you want, but you can't fight statistics, and that's just the fucking truth.
Depends on the owner.
No, that's the biggest problem. Yeah, in some cases you're absolutely correct when it comes to pit bulls. Yeah, there are cases where people treat these dogs as fighting dogs, and they end up getting out or doing something horrible and treating some kid like a fucking chunk of meat. That happens. That's absolutely true. But I can put in right now my fucking search on my own site for the number of stories that have the quote, "We never had a problem until he had little Susie by the throat." It was a family dog. We never had an issue.
Right.
I don't know. Well, I don't want to be those people that turns out to be like some pit bull hater. I am a absolute fucking just ridiculous dog lover. In fact, Chico's sitting here asleep right beside me. I'm waiting on him to go to berserk, so I have to cut my mic off as soon as somebody pulls in the driveway. But I love dogs, and I feel bad for this dog. He's a cutie, man. He got raped in the butt. And I feel bad for him. He's scared shitless. If you watch the video, he's shaking like hell, you know. And he had a traumatic experience. But I'm just saying there's something about pit bulls that is biological that has been, I think the good's been bred out of them at this point.
Well, you're saying it's in the DNA.
No. Well, I'm saying that lack of a more politically correct term, I guess, I think they're a trash breed at this point. I think that the good in pit bulls has been bred right out of them. I think that the pit bull is a bad breed of dog, and I think that if people truly love pit bulls, they would stop breeding them for about, I don't know, 10 or 20 years and just start to fuck over with them. That's a very ignorant, drunken statement, but I think you get where I'm going with it. I think,
I'm glad you said
Well, I fully admit I'm an idiot on all topics, but I'm just speaking from what I think from not only the stories I've written, which admittedly are very cherry picked.
True.
But
true. I mean, yeah. Usually though, most of the times, the dog is a dog that's chained up and gets free, or has been in the house locked in a room for a week.
No.
Gets free.
False. False.
Huh?
False. That's the problem. That's
No,
not.
it's just a dog. Well, or was it like when you was visiting somewhere recently and the dog snapped?
Well, yeah, that's normally the case. It's normally a family dog that snapped.
Right. They're just walking around. They're having a barbecue, and everybody's going, oh, and then all of a sudden. Could it be a child making a jolt at the dog, or
Dude,
could it be
my point being, listen.
He's so cute.
Listen, I was just at a graduation party, and before the graduation party, I was at another get-together at the same house, and there's a Doberman there, and this Doberman is about as dumb as shit.
Oh, he like Doberman.
Well, I remember the two we used to fuck with. We were idiots. But anyway.
I just like the way they look. They're cool dogs.
I agree.
They're cool looking dogs.
I agree. But I was at a house that has a Doberman. And this dog is goofy as shit. Dumb as a box of rocks, right? And we were over there one day, and this dog had been running around, and it loves to get scratched and all that shit. It would come up and want you to scratch it and all that, which it was getting tons of. And I was sitting right there. So this isn't like some secondhand information. I was sitting right there when this chick was scratching this dog, and just out of the fucking blue, she wasn't all up in its face going boo 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 or whatever the fuck, this dog jumped up and bit this chick in the fucking face, right? No pre-warning, no nothing. It just jumped up and bit this chick in the face.
And this is a big dog?
It's a Doberman.
Oh, yeah, Doberman.
Right.
So the Doberman got her.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So anyway, it didn't do anything after that. It just bit her in the face. So
Was that the only dog?
Yeah, it was the only dog. So this chick, of course, has to go through the embarrassment of being bit in the face at a fucking party, right, by this fucking dog. And, of course, the owners are freaking out because they don't know what the fuck she's going to do at this point. But she takes it like a champ, puts ice on her face and shit and all that. And everything, at least that night, was fine. Well, then, like 2 months later, I'm back at the same fucking house. That chick is there again. But she looked fine. She didn't have any scarring or anything. But we were there. And the dog's running around, acting just like a normal fucking dog. And this dude goes walking off the deck. And the dog, for no fucking reason, and once again, I'm sitting right there. For no fucking reason, this dog bites this kid in the ass.
Ah!
Didn't
wow.
hurt him. Didn't hurt him or anything. The kid wasn't even paying any attention to the dog. Like I said, the kid wasn't. The kid was just walking off a fucking deck, and this dog just bit him. So I guess what I'm saying is, when it comes to certain dogs, man, this is a family dog. He's not chained up. He's a home dog. He's just a fucking dog, like this my mutt over here, just a regular fucking dog. But for whatever reason, on those two occasions that I saw, it decided it wanted to bite somebody, a chick in the face and a kid in the ass. Right?
Well, I'll put it like this. Any dog will bite you, A to Z.
Right, but only one dog leads killing you.
But when it's a dog on the caliber of German Shepherds, Dobermans, Pit Bulls, and on and on and on, they have the strength to take you out. Maybe.
No, probably.
Definitely inflict pain, but they can take some kids out. You know what I mean?
Oh, kids and the elderly are you're a goner.
Yeah.
If a pit bull puts its sights on you and decides that you're, for whatever reason, dead, you're dead. More than likely.
Right. I mean, if one attacks you, do you think you can take it?
Well, you know how I am with dogs in general. So, no, I don't know. I know what I would, not being actually attacked by a fucking dog, I know what I would try to do. But if it actually happened, I have no idea what the fuck you would do. Because there's a lot of things you could jam in its mouth that wouldn't kill you, like your arm or something, to keep it latched onto something. But if that dog gets to your fucking throat, and if that dog gets to your throat, you're done. You are done. There is nothing you'll be able to do. I mean, we've got videos of
throw you around like a rag doll.
Well, we got videos of cops shooting pit bulls and it doesn't stop them. Fucking things are fucking psycho when they decide to be. Anyway, I'm spending way too much time on these. Let's see here. We got the couple that was charged after their 5-year-old daughter was found dead in a storage locker. This one was out of Sacramento, California. I'm not going to play the video. I'm just going to run through this one real quick. This is a couple that supposedly what had happened is they had woke up one day and found that their daughter, their 5-year-old daughter, wasn't breathing. They supposedly performed CPR and all this other stuff on the kid and couldn't revive the girl. And their response to that was not call 911, but it was to rent a U-Haul truck and then store the body in a storage locker. The owner of the storage locker thought something was fucking fishy and actually went digging around to see what they were putting in there and found the girl's body. So when cops actually went to the house when they figured out who the parents were of this dead kid they just found in a storage locker, they went in the house and found that in all probability the kid was living in a dog cage in the bathroom. You think about shit like that, dude, and think about your own kids. Think about your childhood. I mean, just think about how fucking shitty some of these kids get, the hand they get dealt in life. It's just like unfucking believable. Unfucking believable.
Yeah, very unbelievable, very sad, and it goes on all the time.
Yeah,
right
every
now.
day.
As we speak.
The next one was the one out of North Bend, Washington. It was the second case in 100 years of somebody getting mauled to death by a fucking mountain lion. This was 32-year-old. Now, I get shit for this story. Somebody commented on this. Now, look, I can only go by the news articles I'm reading. They were calling this person a he. I have a feeling that they're transgendered in some fashion. So if I am saying the wrong fucking pronoun, sue me. I don't know which way that goes. I guess it's a female that identifies as a male or maybe an actual male. I don't fucking know, and I don't fucking care. The point being is 32-year-old... Goddamn. Point being, that's going to have to be something I'm going to have to wipe out of my vocabulary now. If you go back and listen to this, because if you go back and listen to this, I've said it about 50 fucking times.
Point being.
Point being. I don't even know where this comes from.
Okay.
Point being. Anyway.
Excellent.
32-year-old S.J. Brooks was out mountain biking with a friend, 31-year-old Isaac. Oh, you'll love this story. This is fucking crazy. This is some shit that would happen to you or me, minus any of the transgender shit. 32-year-old S.J. Brooks was out mountain biking with his or her friend, 31-year-old Isaac Siderbaum. They were out mountain biking, and one of them realizes that they're being chased by a goddamn mountain lion, right? Now, there ain't nobody died from a fucking mountain lion in 100 years. But a mountain lion is chasing them.
And what's the odds today?
Well, greater, I would assume, but at the time, slim to none. But so they did what you're supposed to do. They got off the fucking bikes. They yelled at it. They flailed their arms.
Off the bike?
Well, yeah, you don't want to run from a mountain lion because you ain't going to, even on a bike.
Oh, I don't know, man.
No, you won't outrun a mountain lion. Trust me. And besides that, it's their natural instinct to run after something running from them. They will immediately see you as prey. So the experts say if you're ever confronted with a mountain lion, you're supposed to make a lot of noise. Well, you're supposed to make a lot of noise and make yourself to where they assume that you are not prey, but a threat, an opponent. And more than likely, over the last 100 years at least, they'll leave you the fuck alone, or they'll just leave. You ain't worth the effort. They're just big fucking cats, right? So anyway, that's what these people did. They got off their bikes, they yelled at it. One of them actually hit the fucking mountain lion with their bike, and the fucking cat ran off like it was supposed to. Woo, wow, great, awesome. Look, we got a nice story to tell all our buddies back that we got chased by a mountain lion. They'll never believe this, right? So they get back on their bikes, and this motherfucker comes back, right? Attacks him again. This time, it gets 31-year-old Isaac Ciderbaum. Gets him and starts dragging his ass into the woods by his goddamn head. It fit his head in its mouth and starts dragging this dude into the woods, right? Well, and I hate to say this, but if this has happened to you or me, I would have done just like Brooks did, because what else am I going to do? Brooks decided to take this opportunity to get his fucking ass out of there. So he starts trying to get the fuck away while his friend is getting his head chewed on. Well, the cat sees this fucking dude running and says, oh yeah, here we go. And goes after the other guy and gets him. Drops the head, goes after the other fucking dude. And gets him.
This is a badass mountain lion.
Right. Somebody described it, it sounds like a Benny Hill sketch, right? So anyway, it drops the guy by his head and goes after the other guy and gets him down. And so the other dude now, with the fucking teeth marks in his head, he decides he's leaving. So he jumps on his bike and he actually gets away. He has to pedal like fucking 2 miles before he can get cell reception to call 911 to report they had been attacked by a mountain lion. So by the time police and shit get out to the spot where it happened, it's been about an hour or so. And the fucking mountain lion is still there standing over this poor fucking guy or girl's fucking body. It already killed him. So they fired a shot and the mountain lion ran away. They went to go check on Brooks. She or he was dead. And they started tracking the mountain lion, which they ended up finding later that same day and quote-unquote euthanizing the mountain lion. And they said it was emancipated, so it was hungry. So that's probably why it was a lot more aggressive. But hold on, not only do I got a video of this, I've got the 911 call that the guy made. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. I haven't listened to this one yet, so we're going to find out. Well, if it plays. Yeah, here we go.
King County with a transfer. He says him and his friend were attacked by a mountain lion. I'm trying to figure out where they're at. Sir. Sir. I'm on the logging road north of North End. Okay, were you on like a trail or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I hear a car that's lagging down. Hello?
Are you along a roadway?
Yes, I see a car.
Okay, do you know what roadway it is?
No, I don't. Hold on, I'll ask the car to talk to you.
Yep, flag him down.
I did.
Okay.
Hold on. Can you talk to 911? I got attacked by a mountain lion. My friend is up there. I don't know.
Hello? Hi there. Do you know what road you're on?
Yeah, we are on the north fork of Snoqualmie. You hear me?
Yeah, sorry about that. Looks like the line dropped off there. So how are you doing?
I need an ambulance.
Yeah, we've already notified them. We're just trying to get to your location. You're kind of out in the woods there, so we're trying to make sure that we're setting it for the right place. We think we got a good location for you, but we want to make sure that you're doing okay.
I'm so worried about my son.
Okay. Do you know how far out he is from where you are?
At most 5 miles.
Okay.
About 7 miles from the
He's behind a gate.
He's behind a gate. Do you know, like, if it was like a trailhead that you started at, or?
It's on logging roads.
Okay, so you're out on a logging road?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go to, are you connected to the internet?
Yeah.
If you go to ridewithgps.com.
Hold on a second here.
Everything hurts.
I know, but you're doing a really great job staying calm there. We're trying to, get you all the help that you need there. And just, I think I told the people who are with you, I want to make sure that you're keeping pressure on your wounds to try to control the bleeding. They said it was slowing down, so that's good. We like to see that.
The ambulance is here.
The ambulance is there? You have them there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to let you go so you can talk to them, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Good luck. Bye.
So yeah. So anyway, that's the 911 call, and I want to thank Jesse Charles in chat. It was emaciated. That's what the mountain lion was. It wasn't emancipated.
Emancipated.
I said it was emancipated, and emancipated is free from legal societal. Hold on a second here. I got a video that started playing. Emancipated is free from legal, social, or political restrictions. Liberated. Hey, fuck you. It is emancipated too. The mountain lion was emancipated, but that's probably not the reason why it attacked this fucking kid. And yes, I did totally pronounce the wrong word. I don't care.
No, so that was the father and the son?
No, fucker. What did I ever say it was the father and the son? Ever.
I could have swore I heard the guy said that my son.
No, his friend.
Oh. I'm like, I could have swore he said son.
No, it was a friend. Supposedly this guy, this S.J. Brooks, and this is no disrespect to the guy or girl. I just don't know what the fuck he goes by. I don't know. He's a big deal, supposedly within the mountain biking community when it comes to the whole, trying to include more diversity in the fucking mountain biking thing. So he was known. He or she was known. I don't know. I'm not obviously in that. So
he or she was a well-known mountain biker
in the diversity
community
crowd. Correct. So I didn't find that out until much later. I had somebody come into the comments correcting me that I had called them he when I was just going by the fucking news reports. Honestly, I don't particularly play in the whole gender pronoun shit. So,
no. Okay.
I mean, I call you whatever you decided that you want to try to look like. So I don't know.
You're calling Bruce Jenner.
If he wants to be a female, then I will choose whether or not I will call him that. And that's just the way it works for me, at least. I don't have anything against them, but I don't think you should be forcing people into gender pronouns. Not by any type of law or anything. Like you look like a fucking pretty little girl, so I always call you a female. That's just the way I do it. If you don't like it, you can tell me, and if I respect you, I may or may not honor your wishes. And I know you've always told me to address you as a female, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Okay. I have to remember that. I'll twerk for you.
Let's see here. This was an interesting one out of Little Rock, Arkansas. This has been going on it's been going on for a while. I've seen this case. We may have reported on it when it happened, but I'm not 100% positive. They start bleeding in together. This was another missing person case, just like the Lucas Hernandez. This was one of those pretty white girl type missing persons people. 18-year-old Ebby Stepak, and I may be mispronouncing that last name, but we'll find out here in a minute. I think I got a video for it. She went missing back on October of 2015 under mysterious circumstances. And the reason why this story is making a lot of news wasn't just for the fact that her remains were found. It was the fact that it looks as if the Little Rock, Arkansas Police Department are like the keystone cops when it comes to their investigation into her original reports of disappearing. Now, Ebby Stepak, I don't know, we'll find out here in a little bit. 18-year-old Ebby, she went missing on October 24th. Well, she was last seen on October 24th, 2015. And the last anybody heard of her was a phone call she had with her brother. In my article, I say she called him, but in actuality, it was the other way around. He had called her because people had been looking for her. There's some details I didn't put in the article because I didn't know them at the time. But supposedly, Ebby had had a sexual encounter at a party the week before she disappeared, where she claimed that the person she was with had unknowingly to her filmed some of this sexual activity. And she was going to report it to the police. And she was supposed to meet her father at her grandmother's house, but by the time the father got there, she had already left. The next day, her brother finally got her to answer her phone, and when he talked to Ebby, his sister, there was a 4-minute phone call where she was saying she was lost, that she was at his front door, which she wasn't, and she didn't know where she was or who she was with or anything. So that was the last anybody heard of Ebby. And some of this might be a little bit inaccurate, but you'll get the general sense of what happened. They found her car maybe a week or so, or maybe less, so many days later, at a well-to-do suburb park. It was parked in a parking space. The battery was dead. It was out of gas. The key was in the on position, and her purse, cell phone, and contact lenses were still in the car. So police got involved half-assed and did some searching around, and they could not find any trace of this chick. And I think if I put a link in the article where some people were kind of, and these were older articles written back when she had disappeared, that people were questioning or chastising the police department, how they handled the investigation, where it really does sound like that they thought this girl had ran off. And then, of course, at least with the Dr. Phil show that featured this particular girl's disappearance, the whole subject of sex trafficking came into play, because that's always big lately. Is any girl that goes missing has been pulled into the elusive, shrouded, shadowy sex trafficking ring. Not saying that it doesn't exist, but it just seems to be the go-to now. So anyway, at some point, and this is what came out later, and I think I have a video on this, and I don't know how many days later it was, some people at this particular park reported that they smelled decomp at this particular area, and it took police a while to come out and actually investigate, and that once again they couldn't find anything. And we'll all learn a little bit more on that. I think the video details that a little bit more. But here just recently, I don't know what day this was, Tuesday. On Tuesday, and they haven't said why they went back out to that exact same park where her car was found, but they did. They found her body, and for whatever reason, it was in a storm drain that ran underneath the park near where her car was. So,
that's interesting.
It's very interesting. So there's various different theories on how this happened. If you look at all the evidence, what we have at least reported now, that either somebody was with her, killed her, and shoved her in the storm drain, or the possibility that she crawled in herself and died. and that's where she's been for 3 fucking years, was in this fucking storm drain in the park where her fucking car was. So
3 years later, huh?
yeah. Now, I had put in some, because when I was doing some research on this case, there was a lot of details on this, because not only were there a lot of news articles, there were some Reddit threads on it. There were some, I think there was some Dr. Phil stuff on this one. This case it's made the rounds in regards to television shows that feature missing people. And one of the things I had found, especially in the Reddit thread, was the mentioning of a gentleman named Dontarius Taylor. And he was a kid, I can't remember how old he was, about her same age, who disappeared on the exact same night that she disappeared. And some people did some digging and found that Dontarius and Ebby knew each other. I think there was I don't use Snapchat, so some people may have to correct me, but there was a Snapchat story, they said, that had some pictures of Ebby and Dontarius together at a park. So, anyway, Ebby and Dontarius go missing on the exact same night. Now, I tried to do some looking to see, because there are news articles, which I linked to in the article, about Dontarius' disappearance. At some point, he must have been found, because I think he's active on Facebook now, but he is either in jail or served some jail time for something. So a lot of people were drawing some possibly totally misguided connections between Ebby and Dontarius and her disappearance. I just included it in the article because I found it as interesting as some other people did. Now, obviously, I'm not saying this kid had anything to do with Ebby's disappearance or whatever happened to her in regards to her death. I'm just saying that is pretty fucking coincidental that she would go missing the exact same night he did. But, you know, again, there's a big gap of information missing on when he was found, why or if he actually went to jail, and all that other stuff. So anyway, hold on. I've got some video on, this one. If I can find it. No, maybe I don't. I don't have anything on this lady.
Yeah, so where's he at now?
I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, you can go on his Facebook page. I think I linked it, but you can go on his Facebook page. It's active, but again, he may not have anything to do with any of this. I just thought it was interesting, in all. Oh, and I guess the piece I left out was the fact that at the time that Ebby went missing, Dontarius was seeing a girl that worked at Foot Locker, and if you look at fucking Ebby's Snapchat pages, and she's a good-looking girl, but if you look at Ebby's Snapchat pages. In one of the pictures, she's wearing a Foot Locker shirt. So somebody had stated that she actually worked at Foot Locker. So, of course, people start drawing conclusions that you have a Snapchat story of Ebby and Dontarius at a park together, and both, Dontarius' girlfriend and Ebby both worked at a Foot Locker, and people start drawing these weird conclusions. I didn't. I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was more interesting was the actual investigation into her disappearance, and how, I don't want to say dismissive, but how sure that police were that she wasn't in any danger, like that she had purposely disappeared on her own. There didn't seem to be a lot of urgency into finding her. Hold on here. I think I do have a video. This was from 3 days ago, so maybe
I highly doubt she went into the tunnel by herself.
Well, you say that,
or the drainage pipe or whatever.
You say that, but the brother said that Ebby sounded very disorientated during the phone call, and there is a bunch of cases we've had, and one very notorious case of a couple that got fucked up on something. I can't remember what it was. Meth. It was meth they got fucked up on. and they ended up freezing to death out in the woods while on a call to 911 because they got out of their vehicle and started wandering around in the fucking a very rural area while fucked up, and police and investigators are pretty sure that the people that they kept saying were talking to them and would not respond back to them in a language they understood was actually a big group of cows. So I'm saying is there is a slim chance that this girl, depending on how fucked up she was and what she was fucked up on, very well could have crawled into that drain herself. Although, I agree, it does sound like, you know, somebody stuffed her in the drain. But hold on, I'm going to play this video and let's see if they got some better footage of this actual drain.
So police have found human remains they say could belong to a woman who disappeared in 2015 when she was 18. Police say the skeletal remains could belong to Ebby Stepak. They were found in an underground pipe in Shalimont Park in Little Rock, the last place she was seen. According to authorities, the remains were found near Stepak's memorial. KATV reports she went missing on October 24, 2015, after she was set to meet her stepfather at her grandmother's home in Little Rock. At the time, police thought Stepak ran away, but her family told local media they believe she was in danger. Police say the park was searched multiple times since her disappearance. It is unclear what led them to find the remains in the pipe.
Okay, so no, they didn't show a picture in that particular video, but I know that there are some that actually do show the actual the video of the actual drainage pipe, and there's some video out there also of the woman that women. I think I found one. There's also video of the woman talking about calling the police about smelling something decomposing and nobody coming out to actually investigate in any timely fashion. So hold on, let's see if this one's it.
At 5, developing news. Authorities are excavating human remains found at West Little Rock's Shalimont Park.
This is near the location where Ebby Stepak's car was found shortly after she disappeared in late 2015.
TG11's Caitlin Gardenhire is monitoring this story for new developments. And what are we learning, Caitlin?
Police found human remains inside Shalimont Park about 10:30 this morning. Since then, they have been out here. Little Rock Police, the FBI, the coroner, Public Works Department. We are getting a first look. The tape has just been taken down. This is a first look at where the human remains were found. This is the drainage pipe that they have been digging up since 10:30 this morning. So this could be huge news. This is the same park police last searched in 2016 in connection with the disappearance of Ebby Stepak. She was 18 years old when she disappeared in 2015, and this is the park where her car was found.
Cold case investigators decided that we needed to look in a drainage pipe that runs here down the back of the park, and we used Public Works to pull up the pipe and to dig it up. And once we got the pipe up, they were able to see that there was human remains inside that part of the pipe.
So I'm walking over here, just going to give you a look. These are the drainage pipes that they have been searching since about 10:30 this morning. This is where they found the human remains. The remains are being sent off for identification. Little Rock Police say they didn't get a tip about this. They told us that they were just wanting to further investigate. So hopefully we will have some more news and information about this later. Reporting live in West Little Rock, Caitlin Gardenhire, THV 11 News.
First at 5, developing news. Authorities are excavating human remains found at West Little Rock's Shalimont.
Okay, so that answers part of the question. So nobody tipped them off to it. They were just going out there to further investigate. So somebody in chat mentioned that, Monty Hell says maybe they were both fucked up. Something went wrong. Dude stuffed her in there and went AWOL. And that's a very likely scenario as well. the only weird thing is the fact is that it's still that phone call with her brother, that she didn't know who she was with, and she didn't know where she was. And then you have the fact that the car was found out of gas with the battery dead with the key in the on position. And of course that doesn't.
Yeah, that's totally odd.
Right. Now that doesn't discount that somebody else was there with her at all. I'm just saying that, I don't know. I'm just trying to put some logic into something illogical. That if I had been with her and something had went wrong and she had got fucked up and something happened and for whatever reason she died, would I have left the fucking car running? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, she could have left. Yeah, I mean, if she was by herself, she could have freaked out and crawled in the pipe, got stuck.
Well, that's what kind of
car kept running.
Well, that's kind of what it looks like. But I'm just saying, if you're going to look at the angle that somebody else was with her when it happened, and they took the time to stuff her in the drain. I'm just working this through my head, and I'm fucked up. But why would they leave the car running like that? Would they and then they just left on foot? I don't know. That don't sound right. Look like they would have just took the car with them. If you're already in that much shit, I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Right.
And the problem is, this has been 3 years, and this chick's body's been in a fucking storm drain. So and
nobody caught it.
Well, somebody did. They just didn't come out and find it because, like I said, there is some video out there of some, and I was trying to find it, and I've lost it now, on some people who said that they had called 911 about the decomposition smell. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can find that right here. I thought I had saved that, but I guess I didn't. Here we go. I think I found it. I did. All right, so let's check this video out.
New information tonight surrounding the death of 18-year-old Ebby Stepik. Just yesterday, the girl's remains were identified after a 2.5-year search.
Well, today, allegations from a close friend of Ebby's about a 911 call made just after her disappearance. Teach B11's Winnie Wright spoke with that friend and her mother today. And what did they tell you, Winnie?
The allegations are in reference to a smell, the smell of decomposition emanating from the drain where Ebby Stepik's remains would later be found. Margie Foley and her daughter Kaylee claim they came across the smell just days after Ebby disappeared.
Come to find out that she's been there all this time. We might have known what happened to her. This makes me sick.
Kaylee Foley says she was one of Ebby Stepik's best friends. Ebby was living with the Foleys just a couple of weeks before she disappeared.
It's hard to go through, honestly.
After they met with the detective first assigned to the case, days after she disappeared and learned where her car was found, Kaylee and her mom Margie went to Shalimont Park to see if Kaylee picked up on any clues.
I got to right about here, and I just got hit with the smell of decomposition.
Margie says she called for Kaylee to head back to the car.
I didn't want her to smell it. And then she kept asking me why, and I said I smell decomposition coming from that drain.
That's when Margie says she called 911.
911, what's the location of emergency?
I just came out of a meeting with Detective Williams in regards to a missing person named Ebby.
Okay.
We were able to get one of those 911 calls from the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office. One of the calls was routed there.
I brought my daughter here, who's a friend of hers, and we just started walking around, and I could smell decomposition. So I just tried to call his phone, and he didn't call me back. Could you send somebody here to investigate?
PCSO then calls LRPD dispatch to relay the information, where the dispatcher waits more than 2 minutes for a supervisor to come to the phone before the line goes dead. The dispatcher called again and spoke to a different LRPD dispatcher before speaking with an unidentified woman. That's when the information was relayed.
She said she smelled something decomposing, and she was worried that that may be related to the case somehow.
Foley claims she called at least 3 times. Little Rock Police Department claims their 911 record system wipes clean every 30 days. She says more than an hour passed before LRPD officers showed up at the scene.
I was kind of dismissed by him. This park was gone through with dogs, and they, would have picked up on that, and it must be an animal or something.
Ebby's car was found in this lot at Shalimont Park, just steps from the entrance into the drainage system. If you walk with me down this way, you'll see that her remains were found right here at this end of the drainage system, only about 100 feet from where she possibly entered that system.
I'm very angry. I'm angry for Abby because she didn't deserve to lay down there like that.
It's just hard to think someone you know or someone you were best friends with went missing, and then turns out they were where you thought they were the whole time, and no one did anything.
The Foleys say they think someone needs to be held responsible. I did ask Little Rock Police specifically about these calls and the response. They say this is an open investigation and they won't be doing any further interviews.
So yeah, wow. Okay, that adds a lot more information to this particular case, and it truly, at least right now, looks like that Little Rock investigation was fucked. That was a few days after the girl went missing that this woman had called the detective in charge of the case to report she smelled decomposition coming from the fucking storm drain. So, I am positive you're going to hear a lot more about this particular case in regards to the way that the police handled the investigation. I mean, I don't know what you think, dude, but that's pretty fucked up that this lady, and they had the 911 calls to prove it, had called to say she smelled decomposition coming from a storm drain just steps away from where her car was parked, and they did not do anything, or at least not anything serious.
Ma'am, we're handling this.
Right. Well, and the problem is okay, would it have prevented her death? Well, no, not at all. Whether it was 3 days or 3 years, she's dead.
Right.
But the point
Dead,
being
done.
is the evidence that is now gone over 3 years. That's the fucking problem. Anyway, yeah, now that you get a clearer picture of where her car was parked and where the storm drain was, I mean, but hey, I just want to give a shout out here real quick, and I hate to do this. No, I really don't, but let's give a shout out to fucking this chick, man. Look at her.
Woo!
Damn.
That's my shout.
But yeah, so they had all the evidence they needed to find this missing girl's body within days of finding her car. And I guess they just didn't feel it was important enough. And I'd be real curious to know why all of a sudden they decided to reinvestigate the other day, this week. Why they went back to the drain. They haven't actually said why police actually went back to the drain, but they did say it wasn't because of a tip or anything to that effect. So I'd be real curious if that ends up coming out or not. Let's see here. We had the one that caused a lot of fucking conversation, and this one was out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And this is the one where the Spectrum cable repair guy was fixing some chick's cable, and when he sat down on the couch to reset the cable box, she walked up to him and forcibly put his hand on her tits, and that led to her sucking his dick. And in response, after they were done, she said that if you tell anybody about this, I will claim you initiated this, that this was you that sexually assaulted me. And instead, he actually went straight to his supervisor and then to police and reported the chick that he had been sexually assaulted, and she was arrested and charged with sexual battery. No, sexual battery and sexual offense. Now, this brought, and I kind of admittedly went on a bit of a rant on this particular story, and maybe it was just more of the straw that breaks the camel's back, but there seems to be, and especially if you read the comments to some of the news articles to this story, there seems to be this fallacy that men cannot be sexually assaulted, that this is impossible, that, you know, that it just can't happen, that, you know, if not even in this particular case, but if a man for some reason is stimulated to the point to where he gets an erection and can ejaculate inside of a woman, that's not sexual assault, because obviously he enjoyed it. And that's actual comments that I read. And I'm telling you, from decades of writing these fucking stories and just statistics alone, men can be sexually assaulted by women. It fucking happens. And
I think that's what Harvey Weinstein is claiming.
That he was sexually assaulted? Now, he was a
Yeah.
weird one. He was kind of like that Louis C.K. thing. Now, of course, he was actually accused of some physical sexual assaults, but for whatever reason, I mean, Louis C.K. seemed to like to just to jack off in front of women. I'm not saying that he was right to do that. I'm just saying that there seemed to be some very weird kinks where Weinstein seemed to like to shower in front of them. That big, fat, bloated, pineapple face-looking motherfucker liked to shower in front of him. It was just very, very odd little kinks that they had. But anyway, they're getting what's coming to them. So Weinstein is especially, I think that he'll be a what do you call it? They'll make a lesson.
Poster child.
They'll make a lesson out of him. But
He'll be a poster man for this crime.
Possibly. We're finding out because, yeah, it just gets worse and worse for that guy. I think Louis C.K. will come out okay. The only problem for Louis, who I like, the only problem that's going to come out for Louis is, and I'm sure he's well aware, nobody will ever see him, hear him, or anything in regards to his name without thinking about what he did. And if he's able to overcome that or not remains to be seen, of course, because he hasn't really come out after all the allegations came out. But I'm real curious to see what he does. But I think that he will probably, out of all of them, I think Louis C.K. will probably come out okay with it. Now, when it comes to Morgan Freeman, I don't know yet. I think that he may end up being in the Bill Cosby territory, depending on how many more people come out against him. But yeah, there seems to be a lot of beloved actors that are coming out as some very terrible people, which I know to some may be a big shocker, but I'm not surprised by much of any of it, to be honest with you. They're human beings. They're not on any type of pedestal just because they played a character you like.
Correct.
But anyway, in this particular case, there was a lot of debate going on, not just in our comments, which there were, and of course I did take part in a little bit of it to expound a little bit on what I was saying about it, that in this particular situation, in this specific situation, I can see how this would happen, and other people disagree with me wholeheartedly, that there's no way that this guy's lying, that this could not have happened, that as a man he should have been able to physically stop it or just walk away, yada yada yada. And again, I don't know if what he said happened is true or not. I'm not speaking in defense of this guy. I'm speaking more in the fact that this situation, I can wholeheartedly see how it could happen, especially in today's social climate. That if I, as a Spectrum repair guy, were to go into a fucking house and to do a repair of some type and sit down on a couch to reset the cable box, and some fucking swamp monster looking chick like this lady comes over, grabs my hand and puts it on her titties, and then starts making any type of insinuations that if I do not let her suck my dick, she is going to claim rape. She is going to claim sexual assault. I am telling you, and I'm not in that position. I haven't been in that particular position. I'm just saying in today's social climate, I can totally see how a dude may sit there and weigh his options in a blink of an eye in his brain. That if this woman were to do what she says she's going to do and threaten that I sexually assaulted her, what the fuck do you think's going to happen to a man in today's day and age? He would immediately not only lose his job, he would be subjected to a police investigation. He has to face his possible wife and children and friends and family and peers that he is a possible rapist, because in today's day and age, whether you like to hear it or not, a man is totally guilty by just an accusation. And where that comes from and how that happened, I don't know. I'm sure that could be a total conversation all on its own. But in this particular Me Too environment and the listen and believe environment, I could see how a woman, without any physical force necessary, could sexually assault a man by words alone. And I'm kind of surprised that some people don't see that. But, I mean, I can see exactly how that would happen. And the only reason why I am kind of edging over to that, I believe what this guy said, is that as a man, with the stigma involved with saying that a woman sexually assaulted you, that this guy went directly, immediately after he got out of that apartment, he immediately went to police.
That was his best move.
It was definitely his best move, and I'm just saying, as a man, and the stigma that surrounds what he did, it would make no logical sense whatsoever for this to have been anything that he was complicit with and then went and go rat himself out on. It makes no logical sense for him to do that. That's my belief. My whole thought process on all of this is that all the years of writing these stories and just picking up the news and reading it today, and look at what's going on in the college campuses now with that Title IX shit that goes on, to where they say that if you are drunk you can't consent, but that only seems to be if in the favor of the female, not the other way around. So to me, if you're saying that if you're too drunk so you can't consent, if you're a male and a female and you're both drunk, then you both can't consent. So it's led into this weird scenario to where the Title IX stuff has been who can report it first. And now, for the first time, colleges are running into a bit of a conundrum to where normally they're used to expelling males accused of some type of a sexual assault over a drunken encounter, that they are losing lawsuits filed by these men that they did not get due process in regards to the claims made against them. But now we have actually the very first female who is suing a college who expelled her because a man filed charges against her, saying that he was too drunk to consent to whatever sexual activity happened between them two. So it's just opened this big fucking can of worms. So I am saying that in regards to this specific story, hell yes, this can happen. In today's climate, if a chick pulled this shit on me and I was a repair guy, you're goddamn right. I would be thinking in my head, my two options. The thought of denying her, of sucking my dick, and then me fighting for my job, my reputation, my freedom, or her sucking my dick. I'm here to tell you, I'll take the dick sucking any day of the week. I mean, I mean that's just the plain truth of it. So I don't know if this guy is telling the truth. I don't know if what he says is what actually happened. We weren't there. I don't know. Like I said, the only reason why I'm erring on the side of him telling the truth was the fact that he actually reported it immediately after. Not days, not weeks. Immediately, he went to police and told this fucking very, especially for a male in today's climate, embarrassing story that he was sexually assaulted by a female on the job, right? But I'm just saying, for people to say that this can't happen, you're fucking retarded. You just absolutely are. This absolutely can happen, and I can see how it would happen.
Oh, yeah, very easily. They're just, I don't know. They just don't get it, I guess.
I don't know. Bill Burr, and I put it in the actual article. Bill Burr has a very good stand up in regards to this when it comes to women, and that everybody believes them. There's support for women when things bad happen to them, and good that there is. I'm glad that there is, but there ain't shit for men. There's nothing. And I'm not coming off some whiny men's right activist guy. I'm just speaking the plain truth that there isn't anything out there for dudes when this happens. And I see it every fucking day when we post stories in which men suffer from some type of thing like this, especially when it has anything to do with their cock. A chick cuts off a dude's dick. We've got stories of women pouring boiling water on their dick. And it's jokes. Jokes all in the comments on it. Nobody takes the shit serious. And admittedly, it's easy to come up with jokes when a dude's had something happen traumatic to the dick. For whatever reason, the chick decided to do it. Whether he was cheating or she was just mad at him or whatever the fuck happens to him. There's always the bobbit joke. You know, the classic bobbit jokes. Of when a woman cuts off a man's dick or damages or mutilates it, that somebody has a bunch of jokes for it. It's ha-ha funny. But as Bill Burr stated, if a man cut off a woman's titty and threw it in the dryer, the world would come to a fucking stop. It's just kind of crazy, the double standard in place when it comes to these types of crimes, when it comes to male and females, and when the roles are reversed. And we see it a lot with the teachers. You know, if a hot, and they normally are for whatever reason, if a hot female teacher has sex with an underage student, you know, not only in the comment section, but in the sentencing phases. Now that's changing a little bit, but in the sentencing phases, they are very lenient against the teachers. But God forbid you reverse them roles, and it was a 30 or 40-year-old male teacher, you know, that was throat fucking some 15-year-old student of his, then oh my God, he just needs to be completely erased from society. He needs to be completely murdered in the streets and his body parts strung through the town square. But you reverse the roles and all of a sudden, it's not that big of a deal. She was hot. He enjoyed it.
Correct.
And I ain't saying that the kid didn't. I mean, if some fucking, I wasn't one of I wasn't one of the cool kids, I guess, to where I had any hot teachers jumping on my shit back in the day. But I'm just saying, if you look at the ramifications of that, studies have proven that males at 15, 14, 16, whatever, who have any type of sexual relationship with an adult teacher, they suffer a lot of the same mental ramifications that happens to the same age girls with the male teachers. There's no difference. There's just the social stigma that's attached to it all that seems to make it totally acceptable with the hot for teacher syndrome than the other way around. It's just a lot of double standards out there when it comes to certain stuff, when it comes to gender roles, I guess. So anyway, that led into a long-ass rant on that article. I didn't mean to do that, but the more I typed, the more I just kept typing. But I'll keep an eye on that one. I'd like to see where that goes. So anyway, the number one story for the week was one of the weirdest ones, and a lot of details still have not come out on exactly how this happened, but this was out of Alexandria, Virginia, and this was 9-year-old Wesley Lippicky. He was at an after-school function. I don't know what school this was. Franconia Elementary School. They were having some type of a dance. I know that much. A fundraiser dance after school. And he was there for one reason or another. Maybe his parents were there helping. I don't know why he was there. But he was there setting up and helping get the dance set up that was to go on that night. And we didn't have them in our school, but I've seen them before. And I have a video of it in case anybody wants to actually see it. I'll play it here in a second. You can kind of get the whole picture. But they have a motorized wall that separates the gymnasium into two different rooms, I guess. And from the reports, the safety features on this particular wall were that two people had to press the button at the same time while a key was turned, and then this wall will kind of snake itself across and cut the gym into separate rooms. And somehow or another, which we still don't know yet, this poor bastard, this poor kid, got his head in between the wall and the fucking motorized partition. And his head was crushed, and he was killed inside the gymnasium. So there are a lot of videos out on this one. Since when I first did this, there wasn't a lot of stuff out on this, but let me see if I can find the most recent one that actually shows. It's not the wall in the gymnasium itself, but it's the wall that was used inside the gymnasium. Here we go.
For you now on breaking news, we first told you about this on WSA9.com. A Fairfax County teacher is on administrative leave tonight after a student died while in their care. Police say it was a motorized room divider that crushed the 9-year-old at Franconia Elementary School. It happened on Friday. His death is being called a tragic accident, but WSA9's Michael Quander is questioning the head of Fairfax County Public Schools about how exactly this could have happened.
You have to imagine a lot of parents really upset about this right now.
Absolutely.
What do you say to them? How does something like this happen?
It's absolutely a tragedy. We don't know how it happened.
This is Fairfax County Public School Superintendent.
I'm pausing it for a second because I want you to watch this particular superintendent when they ask him. He says that safety protocols were followed, and then they ask him what those safety protocols were, and watch his face.
Superintendent Scott Braybrand responding to questions and concerns after a young student, Wesley Lipicki, was killed at Franconia Elementary School on Friday. Police say the 9-year-old and a teacher pressed a button at the same time to open a motorized room partition inside of the gym here. It was after school, just before 5 o'clock, when Lipicki was trapped between that divider and the wall. He suffered severe head injuries and later died. Are there any safety protocols in place?
We have safety protocols in place for the use of these doors. We'll be reviewing those protocols.
What are those protocols?
I don't have all those specifics off the top of my head around the specific mechanized door.
But Superintendent Braybrand tells WUSA 9 in order to activate the partitions, you have to press 2 buttons at the same time and use a key.
Children should not be operating those devices.
The school district is temporarily prohibiting using those electronic room dividers as they work to figure out what went wrong. Braybrand says this has never happened before. And while detectives say this was an accident, the school district could not give us specifics. No charges are expected to be found in this case, but the teacher involved was put on administrative leave until the school finishes their investigation. What time can we see something else come from this investigation?
I don't have a timeline yet, but we're going to continue to be proactive in communicating with the community.
Reporting, Fairfax County Public.
All right, so a family out there basically lost their kid to a fucking motorized room partition. And it's not the first weird student death we've ever had, but man, I mean, you know more than I do at this point. There's a certain point where, as a parent, you learn to let your kid walk out the front door and go to school where they spend a large chunk of their day and you have absolutely no control over what happens to them. And that's just not a fear I ever fucking had with mine, was that their head was going to get crushed with a room divider. So I can't imagine what the parents of this kid are going through today over this. And especially with the circumstances we still don't quite know yet on why he was even being allowed to operate the wall, which I guess I can kind of see that it would be like a cool thing to let the kid press the fucking button or whatever. But I still don't quite understand how his head got caught in the room divider. Now, I thought that video would have an actual shot of the wall, and I did find one that did show how exactly that wall worked, but I guess I must have lost it. But it's kind of what you think it is. It is basically like a sectional wall that kind of unfolds itself along a track, and I guess the kid's head, for whatever reason, was at the end of it when it connected. I don't quite get how any of that happened, to be completely honest with you.
Probably stuck his head there.
Yeah, but
jacking around.
Maybe, and that might be a lot of the reason why this teacher will be, and maybe rightfully so, be scapegoated.
I mean, he was
for this accident.
He was 9. He was probably like, stuck his head in there, laughed, and then all of a sudden it caught him and he couldn't get out.
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, and I'm sure that's probably exactly what happened, and probably why rightfully that they have put that teacher on leave for even having the kid operate the room divider. But anyway,
right. I mean, that was a real idiotic bad choice from the teacher.
I agreed, but you would think, and I guess that's where some of this investigation is going into, you would think that these room dividers, especially if they're being used in an elementary school, would have a little bit more safety features. Wouldn't you think that if it met any resistance?
Oh, you would think, yes. You would think once it was trying to close and there was resistance, it would back the fuck up.
I mean, that's what I would think.
Or stop.
The company says,
I would think back up.
But the company says that everything was working correctly on the partition, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there were any type of safety protocols like that. You know,
right.
They basically could be saying, "Hey, man, it fucking worked the way it was supposed to," and they knew that. You know, I don't
like
know.
An elevator door.
Yeah, that's what you would think. There'd be some type of sensor that if it met any type of resistance, it would stop. But I don't know. I think we'll get a lot more out of this story as it goes on, because I would not doubt that we'll see a lawsuit shortly, and that's normally when you start getting all the details is when the lawsuits get filed, and then all the information is made public. We had that especially with the water slide death from that one kid who got decapitated on the water slide. A lot of people had a lot of questions on how the fuck that could even happen. And then after the lawsuit was filed, you start getting all the details, and you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, no shit, that happened. So I'm real curious how this one's going to turn out. I wish I had that video for that, though. I had one that actually showed the actual wall, so you can kind of see how it worked. I mean, it makes it a little bit more gruesome, especially when you know what ended up happening. But yeah, I guess I fucking lost that one.
Yeah. Well, if you ever find it, you can post it.
Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll do that. But anyway, dude, it is 12 fucking o'clock. We went 2 hours on this fucking thing.
2 hours and it's almost 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was my drunken ranting. So I'm not going to keep you on any longer. We can go ahead and end this now, but don't hang up quite yet. I want to talk to you real quick about next week and some other things. I won't keep you on too long, but for all of you who showed up and actually listening, hey man, we appreciate it. We're starting from the ground up with this YouTube thing, so if you got any friends or whatever you think may enjoy the drunken, ignorant rantings of myself and others in regards to terrible news that's going on throughout the week, by all means, man, turn them on, send them our way. We'll be more than happy to keep doing this. I don't think we're going to stop regardless, but if you like it, if you like what we're doing, by all means subscribe to the YouTube channel, and be sure to set the reminder to let you know when our next shows are. We try to do them every Saturday, but sometimes depending on schedules, that may change back and forth. But by subscribing and hitting the alert button, it'll let you know when the next show's coming up, which I'll be scheduling either later tonight or tomorrow. But I'm hoping it'll be Saturday, but we'll see. But anyway, thanks a lot for everything. Thanks for showing up. And Pagan, thanks for actually making it on time, even though it was a minute before. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Enjoyed it. Next week I am going to be on time, I promise.
Nah, it's all good. It didn't really mess anything up.
Hey, you've heard that one before too, right?
I don't think we've ever had one podcast ever actually go without a hitch. I think every one of them has been some type of pain in the ass, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. And I'm still trying to get into the whole feel of the thing. So I'm still in my learning stages. I'm trying to listen to Morbid a lot to try to fill him out and see where I'm going to pop in and out and whatnot. But it's going to get a lot, it's going to get a lot better. The kinks will get worked out. It's going to be super awesome one day.
Yeah.
Not that it isn't already, but it's going to be super, super awesome.
And only get better. We'll just keep going and just keep plugging away. So anyway, hey, look, everybody, you guys have a great night. Have a very safe Memorial Day. I hope you guys have a lot of fun, and we will see you next week. Later.
Peace out.